As the cost of higher education is rising, so are the amounts of student loans. And there was a brand new bill that was just rolled out about 6 months ago or so in July of 2025 that is bound to change that. I think their idea is that they're going to help folks, but I don't know if that's the case. And I'm not here to judge one way or the other. I guess we'll all find out and learn. However, there are some big changes coming up and some dates and deadlines that are coming up that I want to address in this particular video. And specifically, I want to talk about Parent Plus loans under the OBBB. B? Is that too many B's? I don't know. OBBB. That's it. Done. Three and done. If you're a parent with Parent Plus loans, July 1st, 2026 is an important date and deadline that you need to keep in the back of your mind. So, if you are a parent who happens to have Parent Plus loans, this video is for you. Welcome to another episode of Elephant Corner Financial Lab. My name is Nev Kraguljevic. I am a financial planner, and I am here to talk to you about Parent Plus student loans and the big deadline or the change that is coming up as early as July 1st of 2026. So we have a few months before that kicks in, but I'm a planner by nature. I'm a planner by profession. And so I wanted to talk about that in advance so that we can actually discuss this and kind of have y'all think about what do I have, what do I need to do, what is happening, and hopefully catch this video in time to be able to do something about it. So what are some of the changes? And there has been a lot of changes, y'all, that has happened over the past few months. Okay, so we're going to be talking about student loans in 2026, and we're also going to focus on Parent Plus. Okay, so if you are a parent with the Parent Plus loan, you're going to be wanting to pay attention to this and paying a lot of attention. There's basically two separate rules that are going to come up in this particular year. So if you have already borrowed in the past and you're in the repayment right now and you're not going to be borrowing, then you're going to fall under the old plan or the current plan that we have, which means you can qualify for income driven repayment plan or the IDR. Under the current methodology, current law, the ICR is the only plan that you have and is still valid. And depending what kind of loans you have, and if you want to qualify for the ICR, income contingent repayment plan, you need to consolidate loans. Now, if you're going to do that, you need to do that before, of course, it's not going to change now, before July 1, 2026. So if you're a parent borrower and you're done with the borrowing, this is the last year, right? Maybe last year was the last year. No more borrowing, you are done, but you're wanting to get on income driven repayment plan, you must consolidate before July 1st, 2026 to fall under the old plan. Because here's sort of what is happening. What is basically happening in the world of student loans is going to be before July and after July. Okay. So before July, you can qualify for income-driven repayment plan, and under that plan, the ICR was the only option that you have. In order to do that, you must consolidate. Yes? Okay. Now, if you were to consolidate after July 1st, 2026, then you are no longer going to qualify for IDR because under the new rules, the IDR is not an option for parent borrowers. So if you're going to do it, you want to do it now. Now, one of the things that you might have heard and might have questions about is to say, well, wait a minute, Nev, I have heard that the ICR is going away. Yes, it is. Goodbye. What is going to happen is all of those that are in ICR, based off of regulations and rules that we have at the moment, now please understand that this might change, that there are going to be basically two options that are going to survive July 1. And that's going to be IBR and the new RAP program. Now, the RAP program is going to be available for student borrowers. Okay, and we've already talked a little bit about it, and as the regulations change, I will definitely update you. But the IBR is going to exist for students and for parents, and that's the part that is kind of important to understand. So, the only options that as parent borrowers under the parent plus loans is going to be either standard repayment, meaning we repay the entire balance over the course of 120 payments, or if you are currently borrowing and you consolidate before July 1st, 2026, then you're going to be able to qualify for income driven repayment plan. You're going to be rolled into the ICR. When the ICR goes away, you're going to be rolled into the IBR, and then your payments are probably going to adjust, and probably for the better. Again, I don't know exactly your financial situation, but given that ICR was the least favorable of all of the legacy plans, IBR is going to probably fit you much, much better. How much better? I really don't know. It would be hard to tell without understanding your specific financial situation. Now, why consolidate before July 1st, 2026? Because when we consolidate student loans, we're basically creating a brand new loan that repays the old loans. That's what consolidation is. It's sort of saying it's kind of like when you have like three credit cards and you go to the bank and you get a personal loan and they give you $10,000 to repay all of your credit cards, and now you basically consolidate it, but you got a new loan. That's really what consolidation is. It creates a brand new loan, it pays off all of the old loans, and now you just have one loan. And in order to get into IDR as a parent plus, you have to consolidate in order to do it. The challenge is if you do it after July 1st, 2026, you're basically creating a new loan in 2026, post July 1st, 2026, and as such, no longer qualify for income driven plans, because Parent Plus loans, they're not going away. It's just how you can pay them back is going away. On top of that, you may or may not know that the Parent Plus, there is a maximum amount limit that is now being rolled out that you'll be able to borrow. And we're going to change just a little bit so you can kind of see that. And here is, I just borrowed stuff from the Rice University because they had it out there, and you don't have to look at my chicken scratch. So basically what is going to happen is that all parents combined are going to be able to borrow, have a limit to be able to borrow only $20,000 per year per student, right? Per dependent student, and have a $65,000 aggregate limit per dependent student without the regards of forgiven, prepaid, canceled, discharge, or anything like that. So what does that actually mean? That means that up until July 1st, 2026, you could borrow as much as you needed to borrow in order to send your child to college. So say that the cost, let's switch to the board so we can kind of like do the example. Okay, so let's say that the cost, and I'm going to use numbers for the ease of math, right? Let's say that the cost was $50,000. Okay, this is what the cost was, and let's say they were scholarships for 10,000. Okay, and let's say that you saved some money in a 529 plan, which I hope you did, for let's say another $10,000. Okay. So that basically means we need to borrow $30,000. Okay. Now, if your student qualify, okay, so your student qualified and let's say they got $5,000 in student loans, that basically means that you as a parent would need to either pay or borrow $25,000. Okay. This was doable up until July 2026. Come July 2026, you no longer will be able to do this. You will only be able to borrow $20,000. Okay. And I know you're like, but where is going to be the rest of the 5,000? Is the school going to cut it? Maybe they might actually do that. We don't really know. The schools haven't really announced of what their plans are or how they're going to deal with it. I am sure that the boards and schools are having all kinds of conversations right now about it, but nothing has been really announced or said publicly from a single institution. They're aware that this change is coming in. So what most likely is going to happen is that if you borrow the Parent Plus, you only can get up to 20,000, and then anything above it, in our case scenario, it was $5,000. You would either have to self-finance, meaning pay out of cash flow, pay out of other savings, or go the private student loan route. So those were the options. Now, when we go back to the repayment of it, under the old rules, okay, so under the old rules is that, say that you did borrow 25,000, okay, per year, and let's assume that there was no inflation, even though no, there was. I know the costs have gone up. 4 years, right? And for some of you it might be 5 years, but let's say 4 years. So that's $100,000 in student loans that you are basically repaying. Now, under the old rules, you would have an option of either income driven repayment or standard. Okay, and standard again is 120 payments, and pay the loan off in full versus income driven repayment. There's actually some potential savings and maybe some forgiveness depending on the plan. In order to qualify for this income driven repayment plan, you need to consolidate, and then you're placed in what is known as ICR. So if you think about the IDR is sort of like an umbrella. Okay, so this is the IDR, and then underneath the umbrella is where we had like the pay, which is going away, and the save, which is no more, and the IBR, which is the only one staying, and the ICR, which was, it would be helpful if I could write, and ICR, which was the only thing that was available to parents. And so as long as you do this before 7/1/26, you can actually qualify for ICR, and then when ICR goes away, it will roll into the IBR, or at least that's what the plan is or should be, or plan that they have talked about. So here's your task. If you have those and you're thinking about going this route and you're not even quite sure if the income driven repayment plan will work for you or not, you definitely want to find a certified student loan professional. So you want to find a financial planner with the CSLP designation. There's a website, you can find them. You can find somebody in your state or different state, it doesn't matter. But you want to find somebody who specializes in these because they're rather complex, to be able to help you to figure out, is this something that is going to be beneficial for you or not. Now, I want to address potential question that is probably going to come up, and that's going to be, well, what do I do? I have Parent Plus loans, but I'm not done. How do I plan on that? You could potentially, and again, I don't know your situation, you could potentially look to consolidate what you have right now and go under the income driven plan with the old version, and then any new loans that come in post July 1st, 2026, if you're borrowing for the upcoming years, then those are going to be treated separately, and those you kind of need to plan that they're going to be paid off over the course of the standard repayment method, which is basically 10 years. And so no forgiveness coming for those whatsoever. So that's kind of one of the ways. The other one is, potentially looking at private student loans, but I don't know what the rates are going to be. They haven't really announced much of anything. Folks are still in the 25-26 academic year. They haven't started to think about the 26-27. but that could be one of the options that exist for you. And so instead of you borrowing in your own name, maybe borrow in a child's name as a co-signer, and at some point, depending on which loan you get, there are opportunities where after X number of payments, you as a co-signer drop off. You're no longer responsible for the loan, and now it belongs only to the child. So hopefully this was helpful to you as you're thinking about what does this impact, how does this look like, and that has answered questions. Some questions probably raised a whole lot more questions, but without knowing your specific situation, it's very hard to tell what would be the best plan and best course of action. So if you like this video, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, let me know what you think about it, send it to other folks, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.